never wanted to hurt you. I just wanted to see my family again.
Well, my family's up there now. We still have time to stop this.
It's too late. He's here.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Movie Buffer, and tonight we're going to be discussing Ghostbusters Frozen Empire Review. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire is a 2024 American supernatural comedy horror film directed by Gil Kenan from a screenplay he co-wrote with Jason Reitman. It is the sequel to the Ghostbusters Afterlife, which was done in 2021. It is the fourth mainline installment and the fifth film overall in the Ghostbusters franchise. The film stars Paul Rudd, Carrie Coon, Finn Wolfhard, Mckenna Grace, Celeste O'Connor, and Logan Kim, reprising their roles from Afterlife, alongside the iconic Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Ernie Hudson, Annie Potts, and William Atherton, reprising their characters from the earlier films. Kumail Nanjiani, Patton Oswalt, Alyn Lind, and James Acaster also joined the cast. Set 3 years after the events of Afterlife, the veteran Ghostbusters must join forces with their successors to save the world, yet again, from a death-chilling god in New York City, who seeks to build a spectral army. Following the success of Afterlife, Sony Pictures announced this sequel in 2022, with Reitman returning as director. Co-writer and executive producer Kenan later took over as director that December, with Reitman staying on as co-writer and co-producer. As the first film in the Ghostbusters franchise to be released following the death of the franchise's co-creator and Jason Reitman's father, Ivan Reitman, who posthumously receives a credit as a producer alongside his son and Jason Blumenfeld. The film is dedicated to his memory and celebrates the 40th anniversary of the first film. Wow, has it been 40 years? Okay, on to my review. This movie has characters from the last movie carrying on our beloved Egon's descendants, and it's hilarious. It's cool because the kids are there, so it's a new generation of Ghostbusters, which they could possibly turn into a continuing franchise, which is probably why they have a Ghost Corp. This is a company that is connected with Columbia Pictures. It is, of course, owned by Sony. It was formed in 2015 to specifically maintain the Ghostbusters franchise. So we will be seeing more of it, I'm pretty sure. The basic plot of the movie is that Kumail Nanjiani's character Nadim walks into Ray's occult books to sell his artifacts. One of them is a mysterious round brass ball with all kinds of ancient writing on it. Ray surmises that it is probably a magical enchanted object constructed to hold an evil spirit. So, what does he do? He buys it, and then takes it to Winston's much larger ghost lab to have them extract the demon inside. Why would you do this? If someone goes to the trouble of putting a ghost away, or a demon, or whatever, and holding them, leave it alone. Once this occurs, horrible things inevitably start to happen. Of course, Egon's granddaughter, Phoebe Spengler, meets a 16-year-old ghost and befriends her. I love their interaction and their budding relationship. It really moves the story forward. Yet, we find that she has a deadly secret. Lots of antics, action, and hijinks to be held throughout this movie. And Paul Rudd is simply ridiculously hysterical, and he doesn't even have to do much. He just moves his eyes or say something sarcastic and you're just on the floor laughing. It's just crazy, or maybe that's just me. Another thing I want to mention, at 79 years old, Dr. Winston Zeddemore, played by Ernie Hudson, still looks fantastic. Black don't crack. Plus, he has one of those faces that kind of ages very well with time. I love the arc that they brought for Winston's character. A guy who simply 40 years ago walked into that old firehouse just answering a want ad, to earn some extra money, turns into the actual financier to continue the work of the Ghostbusters. I adored the fact that the original cast was in this movie for most of it, while still keeping the focus equally on the next generation. Heck, even Janine Melnitz suits up in the end. Man, you gotta love Annie Potts. Love her. The folklore in this movie is actually quite interesting, and it kind of harkens back to the original Ghostbusters, where you get a lot of background to what the ghost is doing, why they're trying to come through and destroy everything, also in Ghostbusters 2. So I really like that. This particular folklore in this movie kind of reminds me of the mythology in the movie The Mummy. And that would be the first one, the real one, not the one with Tom Cruise. Ugh, that was horrible. But anyway, this movie, I kept thinking about when the evil god, demon, whatever, spoke, just hit the presence of it, really reminded me of the Mummy's presence in that, original movie. It was kind of uncanny. I have to talk about the iconic theme song, because this is such a nostalgic movie. It really harkens back to a lot of stuff that happened in the beginning, almost like it's wrapping up, So if they do other movies, it's kind of like, okay, we're kind of done with the 1980s and all the iconic characters and everything, and we're just going to move forward. So this is kind of good ending kind of a thing. That's just what I'm thinking. Ray Parker Jr. I mean, this guy, one-hit wonder. His life has been set from one frickin' song. The title theme song was written by Ray Parker Jr., and it was a hurried affair. They tried to find artists to write the theme song. Lindsey Buckingham, who wrote Holiday Road for the National Lampoon's Vacation, declined to do a theme song for Ghostbusters because he didn't want to be known as a quote-unquote soundtrack artist. Then they approached Huey Lewis and the News, and they also kind of declined, but in the end, I guess they decided, okay, we'll submit a song, but the studio rejected it. They didn't like it. Then Ray Parker Jr. was tapped in a very rushed situation, says, we need somebody to write this frickin' song. So he accepted it, and he wrote the lyrics within a night's time after getting inspiration from an infomercial, interjected in the lyrics, who you gonna call? And now that has become ridiculously iconic. That is when the lawsuits began, of course. Huey Lewis sued Parker, saying he used the melody from their song, I Want a New Drug. The studio said fine and settled out of court for the rights and used the melody throughout the movie. But they weren't supposed to talk about it, But Huey Lewis ignored that, apparently, and went on to talk about it in many interviews throughout Europe and everything. So Ray Parker Jr. sued them because he kept saying that, Ray Parker Jr. stole our song. They stole our song, and all this. So Parker turned around, sued them, and Parker won. So he got a nice little bag for that. Plus, Parker is still dining out on the royalties of the current song that he did over 40 years ago. So, ka-ching. Even the original music video was used in this movie, which I love seeing all of that. For me, it was just great. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm geeking out. Also, Bobby Brown wrote a rendition of the song for the Ghostbusters 2 soundtrack called On Our Own. Even though many other songs were written during that time for Ghostbusters and different kind of adaptations of the original song, but Bobby Brown, to me, wrote the best kind of rendition. New song, but you knew it was part of, it used the same melody. It's a great song. And he did not disappoint, as Bobby Brown rarely does. Especially back then, he churned out a great dance tune with an amazing video with tons of cameos. That was an amazing video. So, hey, go to YouTube, check it out. It'll have you dancing in no time. Shout out to Bobby Brown. So, have you seen the latest Ghostbusters movie, Frozen Empire? This movie was definitely an enjoyable watch. And the nostalgia was off the chain. I totally loved it, so check it out. And if you like this content, please make sure to subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and hit the bell to get all the notifications of my new reviews. And as always, say it with me, everyone. Peace, 2 fingers.